Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the Son and Tim Show. I'm Son, and he's Tim. At least I think that's
Dun, 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 dun,
Oh,
dun.
the Jersey's back.
It's back!
It's back. Mitch Trubisky is back.
Guys, thanks so much for watching our channel today. Please, please, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you like what we're bringing. We're hoping to bring you tons of videos in the next upcoming days and weeks. Thank you so much. Bears win!
Dude, that was by far the best performance. Offense, defense, everything went well for the Bears. It was such a great win.
It was awesome. It was awesome. It was just awesome. I'm happy. Well, I mean, I'm not happy, but I'm happy, and then I'm not happy. I'm a little bit of everything, but yeah.
Okay. I mean, for me, I always want to see the Bears win. It's always tough to watch them lose, and this was a great win for them. I mean, we talked about all of them. By the way, we were so wrong on our predictions.
I know.
But the matchups were right on. I thought, when we talked about how the defense would play against Deshaun Watson, when we talked
You
about
did say that, yeah.
we talked about Trubisky versus
No
Watson.
pick.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, basically
Montgomery. See?
Yeah.
I told you, the defense garbage. Their defense is depleted.
Yeah, David Montgomery, and he only had 11 carries.
We'll get into that.
Yes. Okay, well, first off, let's talk about who
Positive?
Yes, positives. Who was your player of the game?
Okay. My player of the game?
That's a tough one because there's so many.
Oh, man. I just have a lot. I kind of almost want to name Matt Nagy as the player of the game.
Okay.
But I can't name him as a player of the game. There's like, I'm gonna go Matt Nagy.
Okay.
I do have criticisms on him.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like he played Nagy cute ball in the second half. He stopped going to Montgomery.
Yeah.
That's serious. I did not like that. But I mean, his team came out with energy. They responded. It's the second week in a row, in my opinion. They responded. The offense responded. The offense and defense responded. They came out with energy. His play calling was really good. He used Mitch on half-field reads, first 1-2 reads all game long. It was like, whoa, you actually saw what was wrong and only took you 14 weeks. But he used Montgomery. That was a good thing, especially early. You set the tone. You got the lead. You kind of saw, okay, this Bears team is pretty good with the lead.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just really impressed with him because he could have easily folded. And once again, it just kind of shows the respect these players in this locker room have for him to continue to fight when they know there's a likelihood this dude's gone.
Right.
But they still responded. They still came together. I got to give him the game ball. I also have a small game ball too. Center Sam Mustipher.
Hey,
I got to give Sam Mustipher credit. I mean, I want to give Roquan a game ball too, but Center Sam Mustipher. I mean, David Montgomery said post-game that he is, what did he say? He said something along the lines of, he is the general of the line. And ever since he came and started at center, they're averaging like 119 yards per game on the ground.
I love that.
They're not getting many sacks against Trubisky either, so it looks like we may have solidified the middle of our line for the next however many years, or at least we have an incredibly good backup piece.
Yes.
So I like him. How about you? Players of the game.
Oh my gosh. Okay, first of all, I've got to give a game ball to number 10, Mitch Trubisky.
No!
Listen.
You are Trubisky trasher.
Okay, look, I still am, but you got to give him credit where credit is due. This is probably the best game we've ever watched him play. I mean, he completed his first 8 passes. He was throwing it around. I mean, he was finding Allen Robinson all over the field. It was great. Yeah. He was getting, Anthony Miller was getting balls. He got Mooney on a couple of passes. It was just, this was the Mitch Trubisky that I was hoping to see. However, it was all started with the run game, and with Montgomery running, first play of the game for the Bears, he ran 80 yards. I mean,
I didn't think he could do that. Did you?
No, I didn't think he had that kind of speed to leave the defense. But we talked about how Mitch is successful, and we talked about how he's great in play action. He's great when you roll him out. You get him, out of the pocket. You make, if he's in the pocket, give him 1-2 reads, make quick short passes. They did all of that, and they did it well, and it looked like for the first time the Houston Texans didn't know what we were going to do. I mean, it looked like there were guys open. It looked like, every single time it looked like the Bears offense made it look so hard because it looked like the defense, the other team, always knew what we were going to run. Today, it was great. It looked like we were mixing it up. I mean, with the offensive line, giving Trubisky credit, it was so good. And, gosh, a part of me wants to give Allen Robinson a game ball.
Oh, yeah, dude.
9 catches,
he finally came down with a 50-50 ball.
Yes. It was just, dude, it was a great Bear win. I mean, that was a Bear-ass spanking. That's what that was.
Yes.
Offensive side, defensive side. How about the defense, Tim? Let's talk about the defense really quick. 6 sacks on Watson. How about that?
Really? I didn't know that.
Dude, they were in his back pocket the whole game. I mean, Watson was running for his life. I mean, held him to only 7 points. Watson looked uncomfortable the whole game.
Yet he still kind of diced us up at times. But, yes, he did.
Okay, way to be a downer, Tim.
I know. Roquan, 12 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for losses, and 3 hurries. Is that an all-pro?
Dude, he was great. I thought Mack had the best game as a Bear this season. He looked great. It was just fantastic. Eddie Jackson was sticking people in this game. You're like, wow. Yeah. The Bears came to play today. It was great. It was great.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. So, where do you want to go next? I got this idea of, should we be deceived here? I think this is a good second section because last year, so actually the last 3 years in Week 14, Mitch Trubisky has won this game. Last year against the Cowboys, where we're all like, oh no. The year before, they beat another team the year before. I apologize. But we were 6-6 last year, and we won this game, and all of a sudden we're in the hunt, and it's like, oh, yeah. And now we're 6-7. Not as great, but there's a possibility. Should we be deceived about this team moving forward? Can we have hope? How do you feel? And I'm not necessarily saying playoffs, but moving forward.
No. I mean, if you're talking about playoffs, I mean, do I hope the Bears get hot and just make a run into the playoffs? Yes. But looking at all of the information that we've got on this Bears team, it looks like it's going to be like an 8-8 season perhaps for them. And that looks like where they might be, or maybe 7-9. And that's kind of, I think, probably where they're going to fall. And, this was a great win against Houston, but they have a big game against Minnesota next week. And then
which actually looks good for them, in my opinion.
I mean, considering that Tampa Bay did a really good job against Minnesota today, but I mean, you're kind of sort of in this purgatory, if you will. Are we a team that's good enough to make a run, or are we bad enough that we should get a high pick? We seem to be a team that's right in the middle, and I feel like we're getting the worst of both worlds here. So, I mean, are you asking me, am I hopeful that the Bears can make a run? Yes. Is this deceiving at all? I mean, is this like a one-off game? Maybe, but it's still a great win. It's still a great game for the Bears, and I don't think we should take that away.
Reason to celebrate.
Yes, absolutely. Look, I'm not going to be upset. If we don't get a top 10 pick and we get a pick somewhere in the middle, then you know what? That's fine. I mean, that's probably where they belong anyway. But, I mean, was I hopeful for a top 10 pick? Probably. I mean, especially after
you can still get one, but it's not likely.
But, I mean, the way I look at it is, look, let's see where this goes. I mean, let's see if the Bears maybe can make a run. Who knows? Yeah. I mean, I'm a little optimistic, but I think at the end of the day, I think they're a 7-9 or 8-8 team. What do you think?
Yeah, and I'm just looking at Trubisky. His last 3 games, he has 776 yards, 7 TDs, 2 interceptions, a 103 rating. Some of the best football of his career. I mean, in his 3 games back, they have 11 TDs versus 9 in the previous 7 games. Something's clicking. Something's clicking for Trubisky. And that's a huge positive. And something else is clicking for the Bears in the run game. Mm-hmm. Filtering the whole game plan around David Montgomery is a win. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it finally working. It started to work at the beginning of the Green Bay game, and then we got crapped on. But then it's really started going to Detroit and even more this week.
Yeah.
I'm encouraged going forward. I like their schedule, if we want to look at it that way. I mean, at Minnesota, they could easily lose that game, but Minnesota almost lost to Jacksonville at home a couple 2 weeks ago, and then they lost to Dallas at home a bunch of weeks ago as well. Minnesota is not infallible. I mean, you could definitely beat them.
Yeah,
and then Jacksonville at Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So you could easily be 8-7, and then you got Green Bay at home. Green Bay, they might already have the 2nd seed. They might be playing for nothing. Green Bay can't stop the run. So 9-7 season isn't. I can't believe I'm saying this, dude. I did not want this. I did not want a 9-7 season isn't out of the question. I'm thinking it's going to be more maybe 8-8, 7-9.
Yeah, look, I mean, if you're asking whether or not, look, right now the Bears are trending up, and I think we both can see that, and I think we both can feel that when we watch Mitch play, he looks a lot more comfortable and looks a lot more confident in the last few weeks since he's gotten the starting job back. I think he's definitely earned the starting job for the rest of the season because of this.
Oh, hell yeah.
And you know, I mean, I'm excited for next week's game against Minnesota. I think that's going to be the game that's going to decide it. That's going to be the game that's going to decide whether or not we're going to we have a really good shot of making the playoffs or not.
Yeah, I think so. I just so like let's look at that before we get into other things. Maybe going back to this game, the Cardinals beat the Giants this week, and it sucks the Bears didn't win last week because the Bears would have held the tiebreaker and right now been the 7th seed at 7-6. Now the Cardinals are 7-6. They have 3. I mean, they have the Eagles at home. The Eagles actually look good right now with Jalen Hurts.
They do.
Then they have the 49ers at home, and then they're at the Rams.
It's definitely a pretty difficult 3 games if you ask me. I mean, I think that you know what, San Francisco, those divisional games are pretty tough, and if they're playing, they've got a game against LA and they've got a game against San Francisco. Those are not easy games for Arizona. If that's what you're presuming. I mean, do I think that they can finish 8-8 or 9-7? Yes, I do. But I think that their schedule is slightly more difficult than the Bears' schedule with their last 3 games. Minnesota is always a tough opponent for the Bears, but they're very up and down. It seems like they, you know, I mean, almost losing to Jacksonville, like you said, they were a mess earlier in the season, and now you know you think they've turned it around, and then they lay an egg against Tampa with
their kicker.
Yeah. So I don't know. The way I look at it is, you know, I don't exactly know what's going to happen these last 3 weeks.
I am making a bold declaration right now, Sun Hong.
Okay, what is your declaration?
The Bears are making the playoffs.
Oh gosh. You think the Bears going to make the playoffs? Hello?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
all right. Fine.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. No.
We're gonna make the playoffs at 9-7.
Okay. You know what? Fine.
Hold me to that.
Okay. I'm going to hold you to that. I believe we're going to finish 8-8. And miss out on the playoffs by a game and then get like the 16th or 17th pick of the draft. I think we're going to be in football purgatory this year and hope that, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's what I think. I think we're going to miss out on the playoffs by a game. So,
okay, well, next section then. The Bears make the playoffs or just miss the playoffs. Does Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, do they both return? Do none of them return, or do one of them return?
That's a good question. Oh, I guess that's one we'll have to tackle. Maybe we'll have to tackle that one more in depth later. But what I will say is I think Ryan Pace, if they miss the playoffs, he's gone. I think he's gone. I mean, you can't you can't forgive the fact that they started 5-1, and then this just because this is our first win in 7 weeks, so we feel pretty good about it. But I mean, we can't forget the fact that the Bears were in the driver's seat to make the playoffs, and now they're fighting and they need help to get in. So I think Pace is definitely gone. I think you can make a case for Nagy staying, but I think they both need to leave. I mean, what do you think?
It's going to depend on I think you have to fire Pace regardless. I mean, if the Bears sneak in, somehow beat Green Bay because they run all over them and maybe get to the second round, I think maybe Pace. I think Pace and Ted Phillips got to go. Mm-hmm. And then I think you would keep Nagy or let the new GM decide about Nagy. Right. If we were to get that far. I mean, you could literally say it. I mean, he found what works moving here. He's starting to find what works. He's going to have that. He's not losing his locker room. He's going to say that again. There's a lot of good things, and he's a young coach, third-year coaching. I mean, he has a winning record. So there's positives there.
Okay.
I think what about this? Mitch Trubisky. If they were to can you keep him?
No.
Absolutely. What if nobody really signs him and then you get him at a 2-year deal as a backup?
Well, that's what we said. Mitch Trubisky is a backup. He's a great backup quarterback. That's what he is. Is he a starting quarterback? No. Can he succeed?
He's not Tannehill?
No. We also spoke of this. We think that Trubisky is the type of quarterback like Ryan Tannehill, like a Jimmy Garoppolo. These are guys that are successful in teams, and even in Minnesota, teams that run the ball well, and then they do a lot of play action, bootlegs. That's where Mitch could be successful. And it looks like they have not built this system, to fit what Mitch Trubisky's strengths are. So I think you need to go and, he needs to be with a guy like Kyle Shanahan who runs a system that Mitch can be successful in. I mean, but this is not the system for this quarterback. I mean, we need a quarterback to run this system. What's that?
It was today.
Yeah, it was today.
It looks like Lazer's adapting to him.
That could be it. I mean, that could be it. Do you think that's what it is? That Lazer is more of the one who's sort of guiding this as opposed to Matt Nagy? I mean, if you remember, Matt Nagy's offense had all of these little pre-snap motions and all of these little tricks and gadgets in there. We haven't seen any of those a whole lot. I mean, we've seen it was a lot more just straight up football, today at least. I mean, do you think that's what it is?
Yeah, I think you see Lazer's. I think you see Lazer's track record with a quarterback like Andy Dalton. Mm-hmm. He knows how to use a quarterback like that. And I think you're seeing it right now. His experience with that type of quarterback where he doesn't have to do too much. He shortens the field for the quarterback. He primarily focuses on the run game, even though, what the hell, how many runs did they have in the second half? Like, they're up by 30 and they're 3 and out. Pass play. It's like 80-yard rushing TD, and then the next couple possessions, like, run twice. Like,
yeah, no.
But anyway, I think Lazer has a better grip on how to use somebody like Trubisky versus Nagy.
Okay, I would completely agree with that, because it seems that this uptick in play from Mitch coincides with Nagy relinquishing the play calling duties. So It just seems to make sense that Lazer's been more of the factor here in terms of Mitch Trubisky's improved play. And maybe, you know what? I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you think they can keep Trubisky if this is the Trubisky we get? And he looked like a great game manager today. And if this is the Trubisky that we get, then, I mean, what do you think? Do you see him coming back as a Chicago Bear? I mean, you're wearing the jersey.
I have to keep hope. I mean, I'm just kidding. I don't think so. I could see though if just that little voice freaking him out a little bit about losing him and it becomes Tannehill.
Yeah.
So maybe if in some weird world where they do really well the rest of the season, they maybe get in the playoffs, Mitch continues this hot streak, maybe they panic a little bit and sign him to a franchise tag. I
Oh
don't think
gosh.
so. But
I hope
I
not.
wouldn't do that, but
No.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh, man.
so
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so I feel like this, the feeling here is much different than it was last week. Last week we were like, blow it up. So
Yeah, dude.
this week now we're kind of like, well, what do we got here? I mean, if we get this Bears team, and you could say, I mean, Houston is just a bad team, right?
Yes.
But they've improved over the weeks, since they let their head coach go. So you're talking about a team that was playing better, but I mean, they weren't a very good team either. So
Yeah.
maybe we do need to temper our expectations of the Bears going forward just a little bit. But it's still great to be excited. We're two Bears fans, and it's great to be excited about this win, right?
Yeah, like I talked about, man, I'm like rooting for this team to lose, but then my heart, there's just that feeling in your heart where things start going well, and it's like, yes, things are going well, and then it's like, come on, man, and then all of a sudden I got the Cardinals score on my phone, just wanting the Giants to win. So it was just so sad, and I'm like, Tim, you're pathetic. But it's like that little hope of being a fan and loving the team, and you just can't.
Yeah, you can't. I can't. As much as I want like a guy like Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence or one of these probably franchise turning players, I just can't. I can't watch the Bears lose. I mean, it's just, as a fan, you can't just root for them to tank. I mean, is that I can't do it. So I mean, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that they make the playoffs. I really am. I want to see them finish out this season strong, and I want to see them get into the playoffs and maybe make some noise.
So, quick game preview next week. We're going out to Minnesota. I think it's a noon game. We're both 6-7, 6-7. We're going to be tied for the the 8th in the conference. A game out of the wild card. This is make or break for both teams.
Agreed.
It's at Minnesota. Minnesota's had some bad games the past couple games. First thoughts. What are your first thoughts?
I think we have to both see which teams show up. I mean, what Bears team are we going to get? What Vikings team are we going to get? And I think that if the Bears are able to sort of slow down Dalvin Cook, if they're able to, if Hicks was a huge disruptor today. And if he could do this same job next week, sort of limiting Cook some, I feel like the Bears have a good chance of winning this game. But I think that's where it's going to stem from. I feel like if they take the run game away and they dare Kirk Cousins to beat them, I think that's sort of how the Bears can win this game. What do you think?
I think the Bears need to ride their mojo right now on offense. We couldn't do anything offensively with Nick Foles in the last game, and still we were in it till the final possession. It seems like we have some sort of mind tricks over these Vikings. I know they won the last game, but it seems like we have their number. Even when they beat us, it was like pulling teeth. They barely got us on Monday night. It was because Nick Foles was awful and we couldn't run the ball at all.
Right.
Well, we're going to be able to run the ball here.
I hope so, yes.
I think so. Yeah, and then that's going to open the door for Mitch to get a couple play action passes. I think we could win this game. I don't want to necessarily win it, but I think we can. It's going to depend. It's going to depend on how can we stop the run, but I think it's going to be, son, I'm wondering if the rest of the season we should look at maybe the offense starting to outperform the defense.
Well, I don't think either outperformed the other today. But yes.
Really?
I mean, considering it was 36-7. Yeah, I mean, I think this is all around, this was a great victory on both sides of the ball. I mean, nice. So, yeah, I mean, we'll definitely do a more in-depth preview of the game later this week. But Yeah, I mean, initial thoughts of next week. You're right. This is a big game. This is make or break.
Big game.
Yeah, whoever loses this game is out of the playoffs.
You're
So
right. And if Arizona somehow loses to Philadelphia, all of a sudden we're tied.
exactly.
So we could be in that picture. I don't know. It's kind of exciting. I didn't expect us to be there in this place last time we made this video.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I expected to do another video on a Bears loss today. So
Oh yeah,
yeah. There's just like we have like this newfound glimmer of hope, Tim. There's a chance. We have a chance.
There's a chance, brother. There's a chance.
So yeah. Oh man. All right. So let's segue into college basketball. So what's going on with this Illini, Tim? You told me. You said you did say they had a big game against Missouri. You did say that was a huge game, but
bragging rights game.
I had hopes that they would win that game. What happened, Tim? Talk to me.
They lost. They were down. They lost. It sucks. They got 2 losses in the non-conference season in a shortened season. And I mean, the bragging rights game is a huge game every year. I mean, Missouri's won the last 3 of them, and Andy Katz actually flipped the coin, son, to determine, because of COVID, is this game going to be played in Missouri or at Illinois? Because it's normally in St. Louis, and it was at Missouri. So I think that played a little bit into it. Mm-hmm. But really, dude, they gave up 49 points in the first half. Even Brad Underwood, the coach, was like, "We had no intensity. Like, what the hell?" I believe they out-rebounded them all game. Outside of Ayo Desumu, who had 36 points. Kofi Coburn had 19, and Andre Cobello had 14. Adam Miller had 2 points. DeMonte Williams, 3 points. Trent Frazier, 4 points. Ben Shanazvili, 0 points. It's just not a lot going on. And what really happened was Missouri adjusted at the end because Illinois came back. And they had a game, I believe, tied at 76 because they were down by 13 at one point. It was like 72-59. Illinois came back, Ayo adjusted, and then all of a sudden, Missouri just picked up the defensive intensity. And they made a couple shots when they weren't making shots. Ayo it's like he lost composure, and he started kind of ball hogging at that point. They had a chance to tie the game at the end. And literally, he had like 5 seconds, and he had a chance to shoot the ball right there for a 3. He just, all right, I'm worked up because the dude tried to do a running 3 with 5 seconds left when he had other people open. It's like he has to take that shot because he feels the weight of the world on his shoulders. Probably because you're a top 10 team. This is a game you shouldn't lose. This could be a bad loss. Missouri's going to be a top 25 team, okay? But we don't know what that's going to look like moving forward. It's a bragging rights game. Normally these teams play up to the game. They might not look good the rest of the year, son. So I bet you he felt that pressure.
Well, do you think it might have just been a letdown game perhaps after the big Duke win? I mean, I think I could see that happening too. Like it just, feeling the emotion from that victory, I think it sort of carried into a little bit of maybe fatigue and just a little bit of a bad game. Like they just had a game where, they just came off a great victory and then they just sort of, came back down to earth a little bit. And, now they'll pick it back up for the next game. No?
National championship team doesn't do that.
I mean, yeah, but they have bad games every once in a while, right? Do you know what Illinois' record is?
Yeah, they're 4-2.
Okay.
So that stinks compared to, wanting to be 5-1, 6-0. I mean, it's a tough loss. You don't want to lose this game. You don't want to lose to a rival, especially in a really difficult Big Ten where you might lose 5-6 games. That could be the difference between a top 2 seed and a top 4 seed.
Okay. Well, I mean, we still have a ways to go, Tim. So we'll see.
Look at you calling me down.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at their 2 losses, they were against Missouri and Baylor. I think we both agree that those are very difficult games. So do I think that I mean, are they going to lose games? Sure. I mean, of course. So I would say let's see how they play after this game to really determine whether or not they're a potential Final Four team. Because it's exciting stuff. I mean,
it's disappointing
yeah,
when your team has that kind of effort in such an important rivalry game. When they give up 49 points in the first half, when their other players aren't really going, they're not up for it, they're not getting offensive rebounds at all compared to the last game. They just kind of looked off. And I really hope Coach Underwood, who's actually a really good coach, takes this to heart, works their butts off, and they come back in the next couple of weeks and play well.
I hope so.
I hope so, man.
We'll be tuning in and watching Illini basketball. So
thanks for talking me off the ledge.
Yeah, man. Of course, that's what I'm here for. And I know you love the Fighting Illini, and I'm rooting for them. I want them to do so well, and we both do. So, come on, let's go Illini.
All right, go Illini. All right, guys. Thanks for watching our show. Thank you. Please subscribe. Hit like, do what you can. Please support us as we continue to go on this journey together.
Yes, bear down.
Bear down.
All right, till next time, guys.